Welcome to the Hired Not Fired podcast, brought to you by The Real Me, the soft skills first talent solution that helps employers hire entry-level employees with better developed soft skills, such as communication, problem solving, or emotional intelligence. Join us as we sit down with hiring managers, talent leaders, and others and get insider tips to help Gen Z stand out and get hired. Let's dive in. Hi there. Welcome back to the new episode of Hired Not Fired. I have a special guest here today, Jon Schlesinger. Jon is the executive director of the Career Center at Brandeis University, where he's led the implementation of an innovative career development framework that supports student success. He holds a master's in counseling from DePaul University with a focus on community mental health and college student development. Welcome, Jon.
Thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you on the show because the talent acquisition leaders that I've been interviewing since we started, they've all said one message loud and clear, that new grads and students should use their school career centers as a resource, that it's a great resource, it's underutilized. So that's what led us, let's bring you on and you can share your insights for our audience, because who really knows Gen Z job seekers better than those of you who are right there on campus with them? So thank you for coming.
That's great advice. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let's get started. So Brandeis has published some impressive outcome data. Let me ask you, from your vantage point, what are the biggest factors that predict whether a student lands well after graduation?
It's a really great question. I think a lot of people are concerned about what should I be doing to prepare myself? I think the two things to start with are students that are successful are focused on exploration and they're focused on preparing. So that exploration piece really means getting a sense of what is out there. What might they want to do with their degree? What is possible? And starting to explore a few different pathways. And that part is key, exploring a few different things, because you don't know where you're going to land. And then that second part is actually preparing. Each one of those areas or industries you're thinking of are going to have different requirements, different timelines, even different terminology that they talk about. So really doing your preparation so that you are putting your best foot forward in each of those categories, that's what really makes the difference for students.
Yeah, that's also a message that we hear a lot from those doing the hiring. One of the first things they check is, did they do their preparation? So great advice. Now, let me ask you a little about skills. What skills gaps or career readiness challenges are you seeing most often with today's undergraduates?
So this has been true for as long as we've been doing surveys. Employers want students that are ready to start, from day one as excellent professionals, right? And students need more training and time to get there. So there's always going to be a gap between what employers would like to hire for and what students are at. What has been true throughout every survey, every conversation with employers is communication is always the most important. Mm-hmm. And that might mean oral skills, that might mean written communication skills, but often what it means is being able to articulate your own skills as a young professional to the employer. So being able to talk about your experiences is, I think, the most important gap, and then what distinguishes candidates from each other.
Mm-hmm. That's such a great point. I'm often asked, what is the most important power skill, soft skill, human skills? The terminology changes. And depending on the context, I'll always say a different one, but communication is always up there no matter how you slice it. And I love your point that there's always going to be a gap between what employers want to see and what students fresh out of college that have been working on being students all their lives are going to be ready to do.
Exactly.
So you've talked about the chaos theory of careers. What is it, and how does it help students navigate today's unpredictable job market?
So in most simple terms, chaos theory of careers is a way of framing the career process as something that you need to be actively engaged with. One of the most important things that we know about how people figure out what they want to do is they don't learn it by sitting in their dorm room, watching TV, talking to their friends, playing video games. It is an active process. And so you really need to engage with it. And what we try to do is teach students to be both flexible in their thinking and planning about what comes next, and then actively exploring opportunities. The number one way people learn about their interests is by actively engaging with them. There are many activities that you don't know that you like until you begin to try them. The crux is there are so many things that you could do. You could spend your entire life trying out every industry. So you need a way of beginning to narrow down what are the few things that I'm really interested in doing, and then putting yourself in the path of opportunity to try those out, get your hands dirty, prototype a few different possibilities, and then go and explore.
I love that. And I think that you have been putting your programming where your mouth is, because I was recently at an event at Brandeis speaking with students, and I heard that the Career Center, that you organized some trips to some Boston companies, and the students I was speaking with were talking about how valuable it was to go visit and hear, and they got to speak with some very important people. Uh, is that something that you had in mind when you're talking about exploring?
That's exactly right. So those are career treks going to go visit an employer. We organize job shadowing so students can actually sit and watch an employer work in their space. They're all different versions of networking, of informational interviews, trying to bridge that gap and make it even easier for students to see what the world of work is like.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest challenges that we hear from students is, everyone says networking, networking. How do we network? Where do we find these opportunities? And here you're serving them up on a silver platter to them. So that's wonderful. So I hope people who are listening, check out your Career Center programming, see if they have events like this, and then go to them. Yeah, okay, you've got papers, you've got exams, but manage your time, because these are opportunities that are worth their weight in gold, right?
Yes.
So, are there any other behaviors, habits, or mindsets that you consistently see in students who thrive versus those who struggle?
Absolutely. The students who really thrive in this process are inquisitive. They're curious about the world of work and what's out there. And they don't view failure as a setback, but as an opportunity to learn what they're interested in. So understanding that the first internship, your first job, does not define you. It might give you information about what you like or don't like. And then the second part is students that are really successful know how to translate their school experience into professional experience. Employers value clubs and organizations and campus projects and classroom projects, but you have to know how to talk about them in a language and in a way that an employer really understands.
Yeah, so it comes back to communication. I've heard you mention the importance of adaptability, curiosity, but at the end of the day, it's also communication.
Yeah.
So many students think career centers are really just for resume help. What are the biggest misconceptions about career centers that you wish you could correct?
You hit on a couple of them. We're here to help and support students, right? So one of the things that I like to say is the Career Center is a group of people who care deeply about your success as a student, however you want to define that success. We are a great independent third party to bat ideas off of, to chat with, right? We are not reliant upon you for a job. You're not going to come back and help support us, after you're done, right? So we are embedded and care about your success, however you want to define that. So that's the first part. The second part is that you don't need to know what you want to do before engaging with the center. So many career centers around the country, what we really like to do is help students explore and focus on career and major exploration.
Mhm.
Internship and job search is a component of that, but having some direction to head in first makes the second part a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So, if you had to give students one piece of guidance for navigating uncertainty in their careers, what would it be?
The most important thing that we have seen over the last, let's say, 10 years really emphasizes that the world is not static. Your interests today are not going to be your interests in 5 and 10 years, right? And so that thinking about flexibility, adaptability, looking for those opportunities. That's what's most important for students today.
Well, thank you. You really gave so much information and valuable advice. I would love to have you come back and talk more about soft skills, employer expectations, because you bring employers to campus. You hear a lot from what they say. Thank you so much, Jon, and stay tuned, and he'll be back.